Hi everybody, and welcome to Lost Genre Reddit Stories. In this post, we've got a wild story from the subreddit Relationships with an update. Then we've got a malicious compliance, and we finish up with a fantastic petty revenge. So if you want to go ahead and navigate through the different parts of the video, you can use the timestamps right below it. Now let's get started with the first story. This post is from the subreddit Relationships, and it's by user TMTT. My girlfriend, 29 female, was proposed to by her disabled friend, 28 male. She wants to do it but still be with me, 28 male. I am conflicted. My girlfriend has made it clear she wants to stay in our relationship and that she loves me. This person she knows has been her friend since childhood and he is physically disabled. She has been close to him in a non-sexual way, writing letters and talking online every day to him for the last 2 years when he re-established contact. Well, last month he proposed to her, she accepted. She told me that she is going to do it and feels so strongly about it and won't change her mind. Ring and everything. This marriage is going to be just in name. She says they won't actually live together or have any romance or sex. It is more of a token than a real thing. There are legal aspects of it as well that she says are just not a big deal and won't be relevant. I do not want another man telling people she is his. I do not want to be in a polyamorous relationship or for her to eventually invite him to live with us or something like that. If he convinced her to marry him, who knows what else he can convince her of. I also, under no circumstance, want to lose her. We've had a perfect relationship for almost 8 years. She never hinted that she'd want something like this. I even dumped her because of it, because I was hoping that would change her mind, but she didn't. She called my bluff. I was such a wreck that I came back to her after 1 day. She said of course we are still together, but she wants me to meet him to put my mind at ease. Another thing I said is, can she just do it for show? Have a fake ceremony. She is set on an official marriage ceremony. I said, do it for 1 week and then divorce. And she said, that's up to him. I don't think she is cheating. This guy is wheelchair bound and burnt. But I wanted to propose to her and I'm scared he might try to game her somehow. Okay, OP, I'm a bit confused. So let me get this straight. You have a relationship with someone for 8 years. Somebody else shows up 2 years ago that was a friend of hers from childhood and somehow convinces her to marry him legally in a platonic way? And yes, I'm not looking into the fact that he is disabled because that doesn't really matter. It does not change the fact that she will be married and she wants to stay together with you. I don't know, I'm uncomfortable with this situation and to me it would be like a deal breaker. Even that half-assed idea of getting married for a week and then getting a divorce was shut down with, that would be up to him. What is that about? Anyways, what about you guys? What do you guys think? What kind of advice would you give OP or what would you do if you were in his shoes? Let me know in the comment section and now let's move on to the community comments to see what they had to say. Chinpy says, quote, there are legal aspects of it as well. She says are just not a big deal and won't be relevant. End quote. How does a 29-year-old not have the slightest inkling of the legal ramifications of marriage? There are 1,049 federal rights given to married couples. Some are trivial, but some are incredibly important. She sounds like she's 8 and going to have a playground wedding or something. Kevlar80 says, is this guy dying? What could be the possible benefits of her marrying him? How after 8 years of dating this girl have you not met this guy that's seemingly so important to her? For being in a relationship for 8 years, your girlfriend has an astounding lack of respect for you. And OP responds, I would be alright with it if he was dying, it would make it easier. The more I think of it, I see this won't end with the marriage. It will be a cluster F for everyone. I think you guys are right. I have to get out and hope she changes her mind. But my biggest worry about that is that she'll marry him for real then, and actually move in and have a real marriage with him. It kills me to think of this. Abiding My Time says, what are the legal aspects you refer to? Whether she thinks this is just a formality or not, there are legal considerations she might want to consider. For example, his debts become her debts. His healthcare could become hers. If he receives disability and she has a decent job, he could not qualify for benefits. Before she does this, out of pity, she needs to ask some hard questions about exactly why she is doing this. And this guy is asking her. A pity marriage for a week makes no sense to me. How would that make anyone feel better? And Opie responds, exactly. Marriage has a legal obligation that she thinks they will just both agree not to follow. She normally doesn't make decisions this way, but she can be very stubborn, and the more I try to convince her not to, the stronger she feels about it. Additional information from Opie's comments. She said he's lonely and suffers from his disability, and that he thought of ending his life. She said it will make him happy to have a pretend marriage, and he's well aware of his boundaries. I still think he will try to convince her to do other stuff. If she did this out of pity, who knows what else? It's the whole, if I can give him just one day where he thinks he's normal thing. The guy knows about me and that she's in a serious relationship. He knows the marriage will not be real. However, now I'm thinking that he did this on purpose because he knows I'll dump her, and then he'll try to convince her to marry him for real. I'm leaning towards giving her an ultimatum, but I'm worried she will call my bluff again and then marry him for real. I think that might have been his whole plan. Well, the community is just as confused as I am, and they believe that OP should just get out of this thing now. And from the comments and extra information, we see that OP is kinda on this boat as well, but doesn't seem entirely sure if he wants to do that or not. In any case, we do have an update, so we can see where this train of a relationship is headed. Thanks for all the messages. I know this is screwed up. My girlfriend is not dumb, but she is a bit sheltered. This is a long update because a lot happened and I'm trying to make sense of it. When I confronted her a couple of nights ago, she kept reiterating that it is a marriage with no romance attached to it, and it will be the best day of his life, and they'll probably have media attention on it because he was a soldier. She said she will still live with me and still be committed to me. She was saying I have no compassion or understand her intentions, and that made her sad. It made zero sense, but I could tell she was being stubborn and trying to justify it. She let me talk to him on the phone, finally. Right away, I knew he sounded off mentally. He told me he got his heart broken recently by someone who cheated on him and was planning to give my girlfriend the ring he got for the other girl. He said he doesn't want the ceremony for himself, but for his parents, to feel like they have a normal son, because it was their dream to watch him get married. I told him this makes me angry because I was planning to propose to her already and I will never be able to marry her now. I then lost control and told him that if he does this, I am going to ruin his life. And then he said calmly that his life is already ruined. He didn't give a crap. I seriously wanted to fight him and I felt he enjoyed having that power. So then there was a big argument. Her father was furious about the whole thing and was just screaming at her. He was saying some mean stuff, calling her an idiot, immature, delusional. Then after a while, after he tears into all her arguments, she backs down and says it was never going to be a legal marriage anyway. Her mom kept on defending her, saying, "Let them do it, it's just for innocent fun, it'll make the boy's year, he was suicidal, blah blah blah." And her father kept saying, "Over my dead body, this is real life, not make-believe, we spoiled her, she should be focusing on her career," etc. I didn't know what to do, so I was starting to plan on how I would break up with her. But then, the next day, she contacts me and tells me the entire thing is dropped. She said it's not going to happen and it was stupid and she was never serious about it, that she just wanted to do good for somebody who was suffering, who she grew up with, but she didn't want it to come between her and me. She said she was being selfish and got tunnel vision. Today I proposed to her. I love her too much to dump her. She is a 9.5 and I am only a 7. I would never be able to do better. I know looks aren't everything, she is more than just a body. I told her it was on the condition we will have a long engagement, and I'm disturbed about this whole situation that happened, and that if she didn't come to me with this news today, I would have ended the relationship. She told me to just forget it ever happened, and then to prove it to me, she took the friend off her Facebook list in front of me and said she won't even talk to him again. Opie's edit. I see you're all perfect and don't know what true love is. You all think she is a cheater, but she is not. She just has a really big heart. She goes out of her way to help people. It's a headache still, like she wanted to keep the guy's ring now because it's her first proposal ever. She is really sentimental that way, but I told her that that's not acceptable to me and she's going to send it back to him with a letter explaining why she won't continue contact with him. Lastly, as for the comment about 9.5 and 7, I don't see what the big deal is. I said she means more to me than just looks, but her looking great is a sign of the beauty of what's inside her. Everyone wants to be around her and be in her life. It is really hard to deal with that as her boyfriend always has been. So many times people drunk dial her or obsess about her with tons of phone calls. She still hasn't learned to say no though, and she told me she will work on it, but in 8 years she has never been unfaithful. I want to give her the best wedding now to prove to her I'm worth it. You guys might be right that she was testing me somehow. I do feel hurt and I don't completely understand it, but it isn't enough to dump somebody for just being naive or for wanting to get married. If I dumped her as you all wanted, that wouldn't solve anything. Wow, Opie, I don't know how to feel about this update. I'm conflicted. I don't know if you're an idiot or if I'm jaded and a cynic. Or both. It could be both. I'm not going to recap the whole update. I'm just going to say that in a situation like that, I would have noped out a while ago. But it's not me, it's you. So regardless of when this thing will blow up in your face, I wish the best for you. Take care, OP. And now let's move on to the next post. This post is from the subreddit Malicious Compliance, and it's by user Karadach1. Boss insists equipment go to a mechanic to save costs. Ends up costing him $1,000 more. The context. I'm a new supervisor in property maintenance, and the riding lawnmower we have has often broken down. A lot of these problems are from years of not doing preventative maintenance on it, which is something I've started doing recently in order to have the machine working better, for longer, and cutting down on downtime and mechanics costs. I've been spending almost all my free time researching this mower so I know what's wrong when something is wrong, and will be able to tell the difference between a 30-minute, $40 repair I can do or a 3-day, $600 repair the mechanic needs to do. A few weeks ago, while I was in the middle of starting a maintenance log on the mower, my boss sees me and asks, "Is that thing broken down again?" To which I reply, "No, I'm just trying to make sure that it doesn't break down again." This is when he lets me know that he thinks what I'm doing is a waste of time and money, because our biggest expense is labor. So he no longer wants me to work on the mower and instead wants me to take it to the mechanic across the city that charges $110 an hour for labor. The next week, of course, the mower breaks down again. I tell my boss that I think the problem is likely the air filter and he just tells me to take it to the mechanic. Me and my whole crew spent 45 minutes driving across the city to the mechanic, drop off the mower, and sure enough, they had to replace the air filter and it took them an entire day. They also told me that they'd looked the whole thing over and found no other issues and charged us a few $100s. 2 days after getting the mower back from the mechanic and it began having issues again. I knew it wasn't the air filter, but the fuel filter looked extremely dirty. Once again, I told my boss and he told me, "Take it to the mechanic." Back we go. I tell the mechanics that the fuel filter looks bad and describe the issues I'm having. They say it's probably the fuel pump module, so they replace that, and don't touch the fuel filters. This is another 3 hours of labor they charge us, plus parts, and the problem still isn't fixed. We get the mower back from them, and once again it breaks down on someone's front lawn. I call the mechanic, he acts confused and asks us to bring it back for them to work on it more. This time, they keep it for 3 days. I told them something was wrong with the fuel filter and they insisted it must be the fuel pump and took the whole fuel system apart just for them to agree with me that the problem was the fuel filter. Essentially, because my boss insisted that whenever there is a problem with the riding mower, we take it to the mechanic, even if I can fix it, it cost us nearly a full week of work plus over $1,000 in mechanics costs, when I could have had it back up and running within 2 hours and for under $100. Well, OP, it sounds like your boss likes losing money, but that's on him, not on you. You don't need to worry about this anymore. You did what you could, and he wasn't having it, so he'll have to pay up. Now, we'll move on to the next post. This post is from the subreddit Petty Revenge, and it's by user nsmith0723. Guy was a cocky jerk, so I had him promoted. I worked at an auto parts store, and we had just hired a new guy that seemed to have prior experience in the business, but man was he a cocky bastard. He was super jealous of my position. I had just gotten a raise and I'm not shy about it. So anyway, I'm a sales lead and he's under me. He constantly undermines my authority and is just a general pain in the ass all the time, ignores my instructions and always tries to threaten me with policy. So what I did was drop a hint that there was a store manager position I was considering, which normally was a good position, but this store was a wreck and everyone knew it. Never held a manager for over a month. So of course he applies for the position just because he thought I did and got it by default. Nobody else had applied in over a month of it being open. Pretty soon, he was working 120 plus hours on salary with no overtime, and the store barely broke even. So he didn't even get very good commissions, which is supposed to be like 1/4 of their pay. I was making over double per hour with all the chill cushy shifts in a fully staffed store that made bank. The store ended up shutting down and he got moved somewhere else. Didn't ruin his life, but it had to be miserable for a while and he made less money per hour than he did before. Don't assume you're smarter than people you don't know. Nice, OP, that was petty. Now the one thing I do take as a positive is that guy, he now has some managerial experience, or at least he could claim that in his CV, right? And it's that time that we've reached the end of the video. I hope you enjoyed today's stories. I certainly did reading them to you. So if you did, then go ahead and give the video a like, and don't forget to subscribe to the channel and become a member of our Discord community that just keeps growing and it is fantastic. And like I said in the beginning of the video, all of the relevant links are in the video description below, so be sure to check them out. And finally, I'd like to thank you all for taking the time to watch this video. It really does mean a lot to me that you guys enjoy this content, so thank you once again. And having said all that, I will see you guys in the next video.